Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I'm planning to do a very detailed video about my personal experience with my solar panels, but I want to wait until I go through one more winter so that I will have a complete experience of 3 full years in all 4 seasons and in various parts of North America, all the way from Mexico to Alaska. But in this video, I'm just going to talk about the advantages of having solar panels on an RV. And the only disadvantages really is the upfront cost. However, if you do some shopping around, then I think you will find that it's not going to cost quite as much as you thought it would. There are numerous different brands of solar panels and solar controllers and all of the battery connections that you need. So if you do a lot of shopping around, especially with the panels and the controller, you can really find a pretty good deal. Now, how many solar panels you need and how big a solar panels you need will vary a lot from one RVer to another, depending on how much power you normally use, how much boondocking you plan to do, and how much room you have on your roof to put solar panels. Now, I do use a lot of electricity, probably a lot more than your average RVer, because of a couple things. I have a all-electric residential refrigerator, which uses a significant amount of electricity 24 hours a day. Got to keep that thing going. I have a 48-inch television. It's way too big, but that's what it came with from the factory. And I use a lot of high-amp kitchen appliances. So personally, I found the more the better, and I have 1260 watts of solar on my roof. And one of the big advantages of having solar panels is that once you've paid for the initial cost, you've got them installed, there is no ongoing maintenance cost and very little maintenance trouble. About the only thing you may ever have to do is get up there and clean them. And I actually rarely do that. I get up there fairly often, I look at them, and they're not that bad. Really, to need to get up there with a rag and water and soap and actually clean them, very rare have I done that. I found that when it rains, it pretty much washes off the dust that it collects. Now, the main purpose of solar panels is to keep your batteries charged, your household batteries. And there's 4 ways of doing that. You can charge them from shore power, you can charge them from the generator, you can charge them for the alternator while you're driving, and you can charge them from the solar panels. And what I like about using the solar panels to charge my batteries is that they're working for me about 12 to 15 hours a day most of the year. In fact, when I went to Alaska in 2018, I was getting a solar collection on my panels like 20 hours or more a day. You get way up north like Fairbanks, and the right time of the year, you can basically get solar charging almost 24 hours a day, at least a little bit. Now, that is compensated by the fact that a good part of the day, the sun is very low to the horizon, so you're getting a much more weaker charge, but you are getting some charging for all of the daylight hours. And another big advantage is that when you need to leave your motorhome to go to an airport and fly out somewhere, then you can leave your motorhome just in a parking lot, and your solar panels will keep all the electronics going. I have done that a few times in the last year, and each time I have left my electronics running. All I did was basically turn out the lights, and when I get back from my trip, which could be 1 week to 3 weeks, I would find my batteries between 80 and 100% charged, believe it or not. And on top of that, since I left my satellite TV receiver going, DVR, I had a week or 2 or 3 weeks of my favorite TV programs recorded, because I just left it all on and it automatically records everything. I didn't have to miss any of my favorite shows. So that is really a convenience. So each time I have flown out somewhere, instead of parking at a RV park and then paying a significant daily fee to have it plugged in there, I just park right at the airport. So if you park somewhere else, then you got to get a ride to the airport. You park at the airport parking lot, they just pick you up in a shuttle. So that has been super convenient for me. And another thing is that the solar battery charging system works completely separate than your built-in battery charging system, which charges from the shore power or the generator. So if you are plugged in the shore power or running your generator, charging your batteries, whatever the solar is picking up is added to it. So that gets your batteries charged up even faster. And another big benefit of having solar is that during the day, when you're getting a lot of solar collection, you can use it to run high amp appliances that you couldn't run without the solar panels. And I found that at night, when I'm not getting any solar, of course, I can pull as much as about 170 DC amps from my batteries before it would trip a breaker. And 170 is the kind of danger range. You don't want to get above that. And I have a 60 amp controller. So even though I have more panels that the controller can handle, it can only bring in 60 at a time. I could get a larger controller, but I don't really need it. So if I'm pulling in 60 amps from my solar panels, then that adds to the amps coming from the batteries. So instead of pulling 170 amps from the batteries, I'm only pulling 110 amps from the batteries. And if I were to use 2 or 3 high amp appliances at one time, then adding 170 amps from the batteries plus 60 amps from the solar, that's a maximum of 230 amps I could actually be using at one time without blowing a fuse or actually tripping a breaker. So it's really nice to be able to cook lunch in a microwave oven or one of the electric appliances that have the high amp heating elements without worrying about what that's doing in my batteries. Now that again is only able to do that around midday when you are pulling in your maximum or close to your maximum amps that you can. So I wouldn't do that for dinner, but I will do it for lunch. Many times I have. Now during the spring and summer, when I'm getting the maximum solar collection, I really don't have to worry about my batteries at all from day to day. I don't even check them most days. In the fall and winter, that's when things get a lot more critical, and I will check my batteries 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. It depends on how good the sun is that day. But you know, even if the sun is blocked by dark clouds, you're still always getting a little bit of solar collection on your panels. That varies a lot by season and what part of the country you're in. And watch for my video, which I'm going to be doing next spring 2020, explaining how my panels have performed over all the different seasons over the last 3 years or so. So I hope this video has helped you and decide whether or not you want to get solar panels. Please let me know in the comments below what you think about it. Good day, folks.